I'm the CEO of Landmark Investments, and tonight I'm going to be sharing some very important information with you, which you're going to be delighted to hear. And if you implement it at the end of this conversation or this meeting, it will lift you financially to levels that you can't imagine and way out of proportion to the efforts. Now, the question is, if I show you how you can retire within 10 years with an income of $100,000 minimum and 5 properties, as well as reducing your taxes by 30%, and if you've got a home loan, paying it off within 5 years, will you give it a try? Anyway, so I'm going to be talking about 3 points. First point is about beliefs. Second point is about how did we get here financially? And 3, how we get out of it. Now, it's very important to know that there are a lot of things I want to say. So if you've got a notebook and a pen, it'd be a good idea that you start writing things down, because it's going to change the way you think about investments and property and taxes and banking. So the first thing is understanding that we can be distracted or we can create wonderful things, but we cannot do both at the same time. Now, the next point is in regards to what is the hardest work to do, but at the same time, the highest paid work we do in any industry? And the answer to that is thinking, because with higher levels of thinking, you get better choices. And if you get better choices, you can take action that will give you much higher and better results. The next one is understanding that what we do is the result of what we think about. So if we keep ourselves focused on our objectives, and I call them dreams, because to buy an investment property is an achievement, to pay for mortgage is also an achievement, to save taxes the same. But most people do this and they keep changing and keep adding goals, objectives. But the main reason why most of us do things really in reality is because we have a dream. And the dream is something that is very personal, because it's something we think about subconsciously and consciously sometimes, because we like to have a really nice life. We'd like to retire in some exotic beach, having nice drinks and having money come to us while we're relaxing, and then go on trips, world trips, and perhaps work sometimes, but we want to work not because we have to work. So those dreams are things that we chase sometimes subconsciously, but it's about changing the mindset of our beliefs. So beliefs is information that comes from periods in our lives that we trusted in the environment that we were in at the time, and also it's about information that we trusted people along the way, where we were looking for information and we opened our minds to what they said, and then we opened our minds to the people, and then those thoughts and that information became beliefs. So we kind of tend to do things based on those beliefs. Now, why you are where you are right now is because you are looking for things that you believe you don't have. So it's time that you start to analyze as to why you are looking for those things, why you believe that you need money. Obviously, it's because you believe that you lack the money, and you probably do lack the amount of money you want to have. But it's also important to know that why is it that you don't have the amount of money that you want to. So again, we start to go into the mindset and the mind change you need to have in order to achieve the things that you want to have. So thinking is very important here, because if you think of something that you want and you're focused in it, very focused, and think about it most of the time, 100% you will get exactly what you want. So I put here some goals that most people would like to know, which is, who wouldn't like to pay off their home loan within 5 years? Or who would have liked to retire within 10 years with 5 investment properties, and with an income between $100,000 and $200,000. And also, who would have liked to reduce the taxes by 30%? I guess that probably most people would like to do that. The thing is, people say, well, how do we do this? Well, to let you know that, you don't need to know how really, but it's more about following your dream. Once you follow the light, once you follow the dream, which is the light, the how comes quite easily to you, because it means you'll start to look. At the moment you came into this webinar, obviously you're looking for answers, right? So that's the beginning. That is a seed. You kind of put a seed in your mind to say, okay, I need to go looking for things. And you will find the things you need to, but only when you discipline yourself into thinking about your objective or your dream most of the time. So the ideas begin with the dream. All right. Now, if you don't have a dream, well, I think it's important you need to start to think about the outcomes that you would like to have in your life. Because if you don't think of an outcome, then things will become kind of mundane. And then eventually you're going to get bored, because you'll start to do things habitually. And then it's going to be like exactly the result you're going to get, because you keep doing exactly the same thing. So how do we change our beliefs? Well, if you know that your beliefs comes from information that you received from the environment at a time that you trusted, like family, friends, and all that, right? And also people that you trusted to allow that information to become beliefs, but you're kind of stuck in a place that you keep receiving the same results. So you need to know how to change those beliefs. Now, if beliefs is information that came from a source and you're kind of stuck in the same routine, now in order to change your beliefs, what you need to do is to change the source. Because if you change the source, that source will give you new information, and then that information then can become your beliefs if you believe in what that information is. Say, for instance, long time ago, right, even before I was born, people used to have trade with money, right? Because originally people used to trade things like your apples for your oranges, your cows for your potatoes. And because people started growing and started expanding, going different places, right, they decided, okay, let's turn these assets, these things we're trading, into precious metals. So the precious metals at the times were gold, silver, nickel, and things like that. And then they created these gold coins. And those coins were real gold, real silver, real nickel. And we used to trade with them. But some smarty, and he knew what he was doing, decided, okay, well, why don't we change it into paper, because the coins were too heavy. And then we ended up with paper for coins. Now, paper is kind of becomes worthless, but those gold coins, they're worth lots and lots of money, and they keep growing in value. So when people decided that we were going to start to print money, they had to have the same amount of value of gold or silver or nickels to be able to print the money. Then someone thought of the idea, because of obvious reasons, that let's forget about putting gold, let's just print money. And the money became kind of worthless because it's just printing the money. But we got conditioned to believe that this is the way to do things. Because you also need to know at this point in time that where we are is we're in a matrix. We are being conditioned and programmed to believe that all we need to do is know enough just to go to work so we can survive, pay bills, and buy things. Right? So this is the conditioning, right, of the school system, education system, is so that we know necessary things so we can end up with a job, so we can pay mortgages, pay bills, pay taxes. No more than that, because the schools don't teach us how to think. The schools don't teach us how to dream, how to become creative. This is about facts. Creators teach us about things that they want us to learn, so that we become valuable assets for them. So the conditioning begins in here at the very first level when we enter school. And obviously, because our parents got also programmed and conditioned, so they kind of keep telling us the same thing. Right? So in the next few slides, I'll be talking about how things happen to us and how we got here. Okay, but before I go into that, I'll still say a little bit about these beliefs. So a question for you here is, if you don't know something, do you believe that that something does not exist just because you don't know it? Okay, well, I hope the question was no, right? Because, or the answer was no, because things that you don't know doesn't mean they don't exist. It's just that you don't know. Because obviously, maybe you're looking at things through tunnel vision and not in a panoramic way. Because every single thing that you can think about, it already exists. Right? 99.999% exists. It's just that we don't see it, number one, because the people that control the system, they don't want us to see it. So they hide it. Obviously, these people control the entire financial system. They control the education system. They control the medical system. They control the tax system. And they control our food system. So everything that we see is not everything that there is, but it's only what they want us to see. Now, so if you understand this point here, okay, now we need to understand this exist for all of us to achieve all the goals and objectives and dreams that we want. Only if we believe in that everything exists in the unknown. It's in the things that you don't know, in taking the step into something that you don't know is where all possibilities exist. And that's what we hear. Now, we're not talking about taking a leap of faith like jumping off the building, obviously, when we talk about investment. It's just having courage to go into doing things you didn't know how to do, that you didn't know where it's heading. I mean, you know where it's heading, but you don't know how they'll work. And like I said earlier, it's not about knowing how it works. It's just following the dream, following the light. The how comes in front of you as you persistently go forward and adjust. You go forward and adjust, because that is how dreams can come true, is when you truly believe that it doesn't matter what. If you keep moving forward, you might fall down a few times, but if you keep moving forward, you will achieve your dreams and objectives sooner than what you think. Now, the next point is, how did we get here? As I was saying before, right, we got here financially, that is, not when our parents went for a picnic, but financially, because we ended up being programmed into believing that this is how things are and this is the life we should believe in. And because most people follow other people, because it's very difficult to think. It's very difficult to keep focus on something. So most people get easily distracted. Now, as you know, now we've got all this technology that we hold in our hands most of the time that gets us distracted with this Facebook and bells and all the WhatsApp and all the other different apps that we have where people are communicating and putting photos, pictures, videos. So we're constantly distracted. So what happens to our dreams? Our dreams tends to be kicked around and we forget about it most of the days. But if you are serious and are disciplined in following your dream, those distractions, you won't even think about it, because you'll be so focused in your outcome that the how will become very, very easily in front of you as you're going to achieve your dream. So when our parents, gives us life, they give us life, they send us to school, okay, and we start to learn things from school. We start to believe in that everything is there. Our parents put us there in the first place, so we believe that our parents did the research, so we go there to learn. So we open our minds and new belief systems come into our mind. Okay, and remembering that the education system is all controlled by the people that control every other industry. Okay, so always be mindful of that, right? So the things that they want us to know is what we learn. And then we go to university, we get a skill, and then we get a job. Okay, and some of us get married. And after that, what we do is we go and do the normal thing that everyone does, which is ends up getting a mortgage, buying a house. Now, at this point here, I'd like to kind of give you a bit of data here, and this data is quite common, known by most people, which is, what happens to people at around age 55 when they begin working up till the age they get to 65 or retirement. So the facts are that, or the data is, that one person becomes rich. 4 people become financially independent. 95% kind of got a bit of money and struggle. Most of them struggle in life, and they need some kind of assistance, either from the government or family, to survive throughout the rest of their lives. Now, how did the 95 people stay there? How did they turn out not to be into the 5% or 1%? Is because 95% of the people also don't like thinking too much. So the easy thing to do is to follow the guidance of the 95 percenters. So in the end, it's like the blind leading the blind. So you end up with a 30-year mortgage because all the 95 percenters have a 90-year or 30-year mortgage. So, and that is one of the worst things that can happen to anyone, but it happens to most of us because that's how we all begin. This is the learning curve. This is how we learn. Now, the thing is that learning is very important, because if you don't learn about this, you'll become stuck, and then the 30-year mortgage will remain, because as interests go up, we're trying to refinance. And what happens is we got a bank, or we got a friend who is a broker, and they change the bank, and we start a 30-year mortgage again. Then as interests go down, we try and lock it in, and we can talk to another bank manager or another friendly broker, and we go and start the 30-year mortgage again. So this kind of 30-year mortgage kind of remains. Okay, and I'm going to show you a little bit later about how this 30-year mortgage really works, so you know that it's not really a principal interest mortgage, but it is an interest and a bit of principal mortgage. Okay, so as I was saying before, I need to remind you of this. It's thinking is the hardest thing to do and the highest pay job when you learn. The thinking is super important to begin the journey of creating wealth and abundance. All right. So now, how did we get here? It's very simple. It's as a result of us becoming stuck financially by becoming to start to learn and use what the people in the 95% group told us to do. So, as I said earlier, the 1% becomes rich, and most of these people think. And the 95% are the ones that don't think too much. So that is the group. This is the big group of people, because most of people, and I was one of them as well. Okay, I was a little bit timid, so it was easy for me to follow my friends. A bit of story here about myself. When I came into this country a long time ago, I didn't know anybody, and I started to learn things from friends that were around me. And the first group of friends were people that came from the same country as me, and they were a bit rough. And then I thought, well, if I follow them, I'm going to become rough. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I met another set of friends, and these guys used to go around conquering everything. They came in, they saw the conquer this, conquer that, and they had good life, they had nice houses. But it's all about conquering, and they were all the same. And I thought, well, if I stay with this group, I'll become a conqueror. And I thought, no, I don't like to be a conqueror, because always rough hands and dirty hands and doesn't know. Then I met another group which liked cars. So these guys used to fix cars. And then I thought, I like cars here, but I don't want to walk around with fingernails full of grease and oil. I thought, no, I'll change the group. And then I thought, well, how about if I just go and find the people that I want to be with? And I discarded all my friends. I moved on. And then I found a friend through books. So my best friends now are in books, because these people are good. They guide me, they teach me how to think, and they give me the things that I want in terms of quality thought, because they got some great ideas. So I follow the 1%. So I became one of those 1%ers. Right? And because I left the group, because it was easy to stay in the group, but I knew I wasn't going to get too far, and I didn't want to be like them. So now, how we end up with this 30-year mortgage? It's something that happened because we follow people, but now you have a choice that you can get out if you want to, or you can stay. Now, this is really hard to do, because when we see all our friends, and the people we know, in this jail that doesn't have a door, and they kind of tend to befriend the warden, they befriend the guards, they befriend the people that run these jails, right? Which are the bankers, right? So they think, these are nice people, right? And they look around, they say, well, but everyone's here. So, how can we really get out? But they see other people that are outside the jail having a great time, driving nice cars and having big houses, right? But they're kind of comfortable. And they end up staying because, again, it's easier not to think, because in order to get out, you have to do a bit of thinking. But that thinking sometimes is hard because you're thinking to do something different, and your subconscious mind brings you back and say, where are you going? Where are you going? Why are you going there? It's risky. It's risky. Come back here, right? And they pull you back. So you end up staying in jail, and you think about it and you think, should I do it? Should I do it? And it's easier to turn back and you don't go forward, right? But with the information I'll give you now, I hope that it's going to help you jump out and get out. Okay, so the things are, when we start to look into these, we've got, the interest rates, we've got, banking that make, so much profit. Like in 2021, the information came out that the largest 4 banks in Australia made $21 billion. And I think there's some correlation there as why they make so much money. When the lenders fake money and we give them real money to pay the fake loan, when most of the interest we pay, most of the repayments is just interest. So there has to be something there that you must think about. Well, why is it we're all doing this, and why should I stay here? Well, what is the answer? How do we get out of this place? So you need to start thinking about this, and you have to also want to get out, because sometimes it's comfortable to stay. Sometimes it's hard to go and do something new and different because there's a risk, there's fear, right? Now, remembering that fear is nothing more than an irrational thought, belief that is real. But once you take off the mask of fear, okay, you could be too late and facing in the eyes, straight into the eyes of regret. And that one you don't want to have. So you need to just, when you get fear, you go through it, because fear is nothing more than a shadow. Once you go through fear, then you'll never fear anything again, because fear is just an irrational thing. Most people, when I ask, what is your fear? And I give them pen and paper, they can't even write it down. They can't write it down because they don't know what it is. They just have fear of, I guess it's fear of failure. I mean, we'll fail all the time. We don't get things that we want to all the time. But is being recognized that you failed is where people, why people don't move, why people don't go forward, because they've got that fear that if I fail, people will know. What are they going to say? Right? But 99.9% of all fears never come reality. So if we see how our money moves, being stuck in the system, you see that, as this graph says here, we work Monday and halfway through Tuesday, and some people with higher tax brackets work just about Monday and Tuesday for the tax office. Then Tuesday to Wednesday, and sometimes up to Thursday, we work for banks. So 64% of our money goes to taxes and bank. And then that leaves with that, bit of money left there, right, to maintain ourselves, which is, to buy food and to do the things we want to do. And there's a bit of money at the end, which is around 5% for most people, for savings, okay? And thank God we got this superannuation thing that I put a long time ago, so that there's a bit of savings there where the employer contributes 10.5% of our salaries into it for our retirement, okay? So quite a lot of money goes into banks and tax office. And as you know, banks at the moment, they're having a ball raising interest because of this inflation, right? So, we kind of struggle quite a bit now. I'm talking about the 95%ers, right? Because they need to live with less. So they have to know and learn how to accept to live with less. And that's part of the conditioning. So conditioning people is, they give us the fear of it, if you don't do this thing here, you're going to get sick. They tell us the fear about if you don't do this, right, you won't pass. So now they give us the fear of this interest rate, which is based on an inflation that was created by these other things that happened before. So at the moment, we are kind of suffering a little bit, right? But I think it's all going to blow over, and maybe in a year or two, and things will get back to normal. Hopefully, these people coming into the country, skilled labourers, can come in quicker, so they can start to get a bit more activity. But that could also spark another inflation, right? In any event, okay, this is another graph which I'm going to run through very quickly here, but just to show you that back in 1960, the interest rates were 5%. In 1990, jumped up to 17%. In 2020, it went down to about 4%, and then 21 went to 1.9%. So now there's only one way, that's going up. All right, so a bit of pain is on the way, but if we're smart, okay, and we're here now, okay, we can start to communicate, and you'll find a way how to get out of all this. So I want to show you here, a quick calculation so you know how you can escape. So this is now the third point, how to escape. So I've got here a graph. I've got here, it's a bit of information just to give an example of a family that is earning $11,000 per month after tax, spending around $2,500 a month in lifestyle expenses, and with a mortgage of $500,000. So at a 5.8% interest, the repayment is around $3,521. And if you calculate that, those repayments and remain the same at the same rate for 30 years, you would give the bank $1.35 million for the $500,000 that you borrowed. And that means that you would be giving the bank $854,000 in interest. But in order to give the bank the $1.354 million in repayments over 30 years, you'd have to earn around $1.8 million. And that's a lot of money to sign up for to go and pay one home loan. $1.8 million you have to go to work for to pay one home loan over 30 years. Now, that's a big, big task to do. Right? So can you make lots of things happen in 30 years? But that's what most people are stuck with. And some of them more. For instance, Melbourne mortgages around about maybe 550, 600, Sydney up to 900 to $1 million. That's just for the starters, people just starting in the journey. So that's a lot of money. Right? Of course, Sydney makes more money, they pay more taxes, right? But at the same time, it's kind of relative to where we are. Now, in this graph here shows one of the main banks, cash flow, right, of how a 30-year principal interest mortgage works. So that shows here the loan of $500,000 at 5.8%, 30 years, right? Your repayments are $2,934 per month. Now, when you multiply that by 12 months and by 5 years, you realize here that after 5 years, you still owe $453,000 or about, right? And you paid $176,000. Right? So $500,000, you paid $176,000, you still owe $450,000. So most of the money goes in interest, and this is called a principal and interest loan. Now, if you go into 10 years or 20 years there, right, you would have paid some obnoxious amount of money, but you still would owe, $415,000. So there you go. This principal and interest loan, it's a lot of interest and very little principal because most of the principal gets paid at the end. Right? So what we do here is we say to people, now, if you want to pay your loan off very quickly, we need to put the $500,000 into the bank as soon as possible. Right? So that means that how do we put $500,000 into the bank very quickly? Very simple. An investment property gives you rental income and gives you lots of tax refunds. Now, if you know all the banking products, not just the ones that are put in front of you, which is a 30-year loan, you'll find out that you can pay the mortgage very quick. So I'm going to give an example here. But before I do that, I want to share a story. Just recently, I had a couple in the office that both worked for one bank. And one was in lending, and the other one was doing, it was a call center. Okay, now the person doing the lending, this is a coach, lending coach. And I said to him, well, did you know that there's products in the bank that could help you pay the mortgage very quick? And he said, well, not really. I just sell these 30-year loans. So I said, okay, that's interesting. Now I said, once I finish talking with you about what I'm going to say, you're going to talk a little bit different to your clients because they're going to come to you for advice. And then you're going to know something that is true because it's in your bank, even though the bank hasn't told you. I will tell you what it is, and then you can research it. Right? And then once you know this, you're going to talk a little bit different to the clients because you will know the answer, but your bank manager, your manager will not let you talk about this. Right? And the client here was a bit from the wall. What is this product? What are the things that the bank's concealing from us? Okay, so I'll show you this in a minute. So how do we get out of this? is first of all understanding that the secret is understanding how the finance system works, especially banks and the tax office, because these are companies doing business with us. The tax office is a business doing business with us. So we need to know all the things that are to know about how we can do business with them. Same thing with the bank. The bank is not, the government. The bank is an institution, is a business. They try and take as much money from you, okay, by you signing a contract. So you need to know what products are they, how to make it work for you, right? So in this here is a cash flow that I've put up so you can have a look to see how a mortgage worth $500,000, which is one investment property, can wipe out the debt at the end of the 5th year, and which is at the beginning of the 6th year. Right? So that will put, with the same information I shared before, an income of $11,000 a year net combined, with expenses of $2,500 per month for living expenses. I'd put in the right banking product with the tax applications. Right? You will have $543,000 in your bank account, okay, namely the offset account, right, at the end of the 5th year, and that means you neutralize the loan. So therefore, as I've got in this here, the $500,000 will be going into your bank now, and then you will pay no interest on the loan. Now, the bank product that makes it work is 2 bank products. Okay, and I'll share this information for you because it's in the banking system, even though you might know, might not know it, right? The first one is the interest only with offset account for your home, and investment property is the prepayment of interest. So these 2 make all the magic. Right now, what happens after that is that now you will be working 1 day a week for the tax office and 1 day for the bank, and the rest will be a standard and normal way of living, spending money, but you have lots of money to save or saved. So that changes things for your benefit. So these 3 objectives that I mentioned at the very beginning, okay, now you know a way how you can retire within 10 years with 5 properties and an income of $100,000 to $200,000. You can how to pay your mortgage within 5 years, and also you now know how you can reduce your taxes by 30%. Now, I didn't want to go into the detail of the cash flow because it takes a bit longer, and I don't want to spend too much of your valuable time. So I've just made it very simple. Okay. Now, the idea here is that to understand first of all that this is new information. And of course, you can research all this because this is in the public domain. Right? So now, like I said, ignorance now is a choice. Financial ignorance is a choice because everything exists. The only thing you need to do now is to find out what you want to do with this information. Okay, so you can just go back and do what you were doing, or you want to research it further. Now, if you research it further, for us, it's easy because this is what we've been doing now for 27 years, and we've made thousands of people very rich. But that's what this does, and I don't take too much credit for that because I leave the credit to the people, because you are the ones that taking the leap of faith. You're the one that actually got the courage to take the step and to sustain the courage to continue. But once you do it once, twice, and you realize how easy it is, and this is what I say to people, that you've got alternatives. You can do it on your own, which is okay, it's good too. You can get a coach, get someone to help you do it, because I think most people need a coach in life. If you want to be good at something, if you want to be good at cricket, you need a coach. Okay, to make money, you also need a coach, because if you just try to do it on your own, also it's very hard sometimes because you need a lot of discipline, and most people are not that good at discipline. But if you want to get somewhere, you want to have something that you never had, you also need to know that you need to do something you never did. Otherwise, you're always going to get the same result. Okay, so other things, you can continue doing the things with your good intention friends, good intention free advisors, or you can do nothing. Okay, because it's always easy to do nothing, but if you do that, then you're always going to get what you've been getting. So for us, the main objective is for our clients to learn how to pay off the mortgage very quick, how to reduce taxes, how to build portfolio properties, and that's what we specialize in. And sometimes even show them, how to double, triple their income, because we can do that as well. Anyone can do this, but it's a matter of just being interested in something, okay, and be committed is even better, because once you're committed, it means you'll do whatever it takes. Being interested means only that you'll do whatever is easy and convenient. And that's when you look at it. Okay, should I go and do it, or just sit on the couch and watch TV? So these are the choices we have. A strategy does many things, but like I said, the main points are that it's a 10-year program, because we believe that everyone can retire in 10 years with a minimum of 5 properties. If you see our reviews, not reviews, but our testimonials on our website, you'll see that how people have bought 7, 8 properties within a year very quickly, because most people don't understand the potential, because they being conditioned to believe that what they have is all they're ever going to be, and because to do something different is going to be kind of a little scary as well. So we tell them, look, just look at your potential, understand what you can do, and then go to the next step, which is doing something about it. Just give it a try. You're not going to lose anything. We're not going to tell you to go and buy a Tesla ticket or a horse. We tell you to actually look at investing, because you need to see how you can make money only when you invest, because you can't become wealthy by saving. You can't become wealthy by just earning and saving money, but you can only become wealthy if you learn that you need to invest money and, power up, multiply the money. Okay. So nothing can begin until you give yourself permission to start. This is a very important point, because if you don't give yourself permission to start, right, then nothing will ever happen. And I'll share a story here about Dr. Nikolai is a beautiful man that came to see us once. He met us at a shopping center after going to the bank because of his age. The bank kicked him out. He's a doctor. They said, no, you're too old. But he thought, no, this is something wrong here, because, man earns good money, right? And he thought, well, I need to do something, because otherwise I'm paying so much tax. He came to see us. In 2 hours, he bought 4 properties. In 2 hours. He was scared, but he had the courage. He had the courage to continue. And now he's a very happy doctor looking for more property. And that happened in a meeting for 2 hours with us. We changed his life. And he said to us, look, this is very unbelievable. He said, I studied 7 years in my country. When I came here to study another 7 years to earn the money, he showed me how to do it in 2 hours. And I said, well, it's because, when we need good assistance by good doctors, we go and see the best. And if you want to know how to make money, you also come in to the best. Anyway, so it's lovely being with you once again, and look forward to see you next time. In the meantime, stay safe,